kind of drought, or as Sam Amick said earlier, a malaise. Yeah, they just can't find their way out of this. Tonight's another opportunity. And let's head to Minnesota, where the Kings television analyst, Kayte Christensen, is there waiting to call the game tonight. Kayte, hello.
Good morning, J. Ross. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good morning to you. How was your pre-Thanksgiving family meal? What was that, Saturday or Sunday this week?
We did it on Saturday. It was good. It was the one break through the middle of 3 games, so I'll take it.
Yeah, and then I know you guys are flying from Minnesota today to Portland. Is there a team Thanksgiving deal tomorrow at all, or?
I imagine that there is. Yes, there was last year. We were actually in Minnesota last year for Thanksgiving. So, yeah, they usually do something. I haven't quite looked at the itinerary yet. I'm still on today, J. Ross.
Yeah, one day at a time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, this team probably needs that approach, Kayte, because it's not fully broken, but it's messy right now at 8-10, 4 losses in a row. You know it. It can switch as quickly as tonight. But what has to happen to switch this, to get this going back in the right direction?
Oh, my goodness. Well, the frustrating thing is you finally get everybody healthy, and then, Trey Lyles goes down again, and there's now the addition of Jae Crowder, so you're working in an entirely new piece. So what is that going to look like? How is that transition going to be? What is his role going to be? I have a feeling it's going to be kind of big right out the gate. So it's really hard to know what to expect at this point. It's you've got DeMar DeRozan out tonight again. His back is he missed a few games with his low back, and he's out again tonight. So the Kings are really in the thick of it right now. The one thing I will say though, J. Ross, is that there's a lot of teams in the same position right now, and I don't know what the cause is, what's going on, but there are a lot of injuries early in this season. So the Kings just have to kind of figure out a way to work through it. But, their ability to defend the 3-point line has been, something that has been standing out to me. You got teams like Oklahoma City coming in, and they're not a great 3-point shooting team. They're a team that wants to touch paint, get in the paint, and then they come in and they shoot lights out. And it just feels like that's something that we're seeing night in and night out. So that's something I'd love to see addressed. And then, kind of mistakes that you're giving opportunities to the team. Turnovers have been something over the last 8 or 9 games that seem to be a little bit of an issue at this point. I thought it was just, you can have a couple rough games, but no, they're becoming kind of an issue, and that's kind of hurting them in these closer games.
So with DeRozan out tonight and Lyles out for 3 to 4 weeks before being reevaluated, that's one starter, one rotational player. They already made a tweak to the starting lineup last game with putting Keon in there. Last time, I think, Kayte, when they played Minnesota, they went bigger and started Alex Len. I don't even know which road Mike Brown's going to go today, at least in that starting 5. Do you have any gut feeling on that?
I'm sure it'll be a different starting lineup tonight. Who it will be, I don't know. It's really, really hard to say right now. But they're searching, and that's kind of, Mike Brown talked about it prior to the game the other night. He just said, you don't switch lineups just for the sake of switching lineups. You gotta give things an opportunity to kind of congeal, if you will, like come together.
Yeah.
And then if you feel like things are not going well and that you need to make a change, it has to be because you've given it an opportunity, and not because it's basically like a gut, a knee-jerk reaction to a loss or something like that. So, we'll see. But, the difficult thing about it is, record-wise, they're not terrible right now, but it's just the feel of the games that is kind of the issue. The 4 losses and what we're seeing and the issues, I think that's kind of where you're starting to feel a little bit of like, okay, something's got to be shaken up a bit.
Yeah, when we talk about the missing Trey Lyles, Trey is utilized in a variety of ways. He can kind of come in and play small ball 5. He can play 4 along with Sabonis. They want to stretch the floor with him. I don't know that they have an answer for that entirely in his role off the bench, but someone else can do it in their own way. I feel like, Katie, I said this earlier, but I'd love your opinion. I think this is going to be an opportunity for Isaac Jones. Now, I don't know how much or what, but I think these are the kind of things that in injuries, you get opportunities. I could see him getting a run here somewhere in the mix and getting a chance to see what he can do.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, you saw him come in the game, and when Trey went down the other night, and Mike Brown immediately went to Isaac. And listen, I thought he gave some really great minutes. One thing is certain, he is incredibly athletic, and it's deceiving to the eye, right? Like, he doesn't look like he's going to be a super athletic guy that just jumps out of the gym, but his energy and his athletic ability is deceiving, and he comes out and he does things that are just, those kind of spark plug, those energy plays, and he gets things done. He gets rebounds, gets on the glass, he gets putbacks. Like, he's an interesting player, and the opportunity to see him in bigger stretches of minutes, because it's hard for a guy coming off the bench in that role to come in and get like maybe a 2-minute burst, right? Because you gotta make yourself kind of impactful in 2 minutes, and that's difficult to do without also making any mistakes. So it should be interesting. I think that if the game the other night is any indication, that we're going to see more of Isaac Jones. But I'm also very interested just to see what the addition of Jae Crowder means for this team.
Yeah, me too. And what kind of an impact? How quickly will he go? You talked earlier about defending the three being an issue in OKC the other night, not being the best of 3-point shooting teams, but they did get those paint touches and throw out for threes and spray threes, as the Kings call them. I felt like they're doing that the way that Mike Brown wants the Kings to do it. I feel like the Kings do it sometimes, but maybe not enough. What's your thought behind why the Kings continue this far into the season to struggle so mightily beyond the arc?
I'm pretty baffled, to be honest. It's one of those things where, I felt like early on, first handful of games, it was slow decision making. It was holding the ball for too long, too much ISO. And this is a team that, remember when Mike Brown came in, he wanted that like half-second decision making process where you play in 5 seconds and you got to move on from the ball. And I just felt like, they were getting too deep into the paint and then trying to kick out, and that takes away your angles. I felt they were holding on to the ball, taking too long to make decisions, and that just allows the defense to recover quicker, and then you're shooting highly contested shots, that type of thing. But I felt through the first about 3/4 of the game against Oklahoma City, they looked fantastic offensively. They were doing a great job. And I don't know if the breakdown comes, with it being the third game in 4 nights, and you're playing a team, that hadn't played since Wednesday. I mean, they had like an unprecedented amount of time off, the Thunder did, between games. Like, I don't know if that's what ended up happening, and you just kind of ran out of gas, and they were completely refreshed and had rest and were ready for the 48-minute kind of push. But it's one, and then I'm like, okay, well, is it our building? Is Golden One just like a shooter's delight? You know what I mean? I don't know what's going on, because at the same time, I'm like, okay, defensively, it's like, wow, that's a heavily contested shot that they just made. So it's not like teams are just getting consistently wide open looks. So I don't honestly, Jairus, I don't know what the answer is. And that's why it's really great for me that I get to sit and talk about what's going on, and I don't have to be part of the decision-making process, because it's a little bit of a head scratcher right now.
Yeah, you're more, and your role as an analyst, you're reactionary to what you're watching. And so when you're kind of looking at that tonight, you've seen the Kings play the T-Wolves twice. There have been two great games. Fox the last time just put on an all-time display. What, I guess it would be like an early Katie's Keys. What do you think you're going to be watching tonight when we see the Kings and Wolves? What are some of the things you're watching for?
Well, this is a team that loves to shoot the three. absolutely loves to shoot the three, and it's going to be how can you make them uncomfortable. So for me, it's about a physicality from the start with them, and I think that that's something that the Kings need to focus on a lot now. Kind of going forward in this next stretch of games is teams that like to shoot the three. If you can be physical with them and be physical from the start, it really changes their level of comfortability. And then it's just turning the ball over to me. I mean, these are just very basic, but these are the problems that we have seen over the last several. And rebounding is going to be huge. Rebounding is going to be huge against this team. So I think that those three are kind of the big ones for me tonight. And, overall, I think that the Kings have done a great job rebounding this season and when they go to their smaller lineups, but also just with a new piece tonight, J. Ross, like Jae Crowder being added in there. It makes me wonder if we're going to see a simplified version of things while they're trying to work him in because he just got here. He's not going to have a practice. I'm not sure about his status for shoot around. If he is taking part in it right now, it's currently going on at this moment or not. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to have to also just really make sure that you're simplifying some things when he's on the floor and not asking him to do too much and just collectively trying to help work him into the fold.
Yeah, how difficult will that be? Because a lot of the stuff we hear, I mean, a lot of the offense is kind of a familiarity, a read and react. And so that's reps. That's like, hey, I know where Katie's going to cut. You like the ball here. Like those are in introducing someone brand new, even though Crowder's an experienced player, how much of a challenge will that be for him and for his teammates?
It'll be a challenge, but these days they have so much technology. It's so crazy. So I have no idea when they started talking to him what his level of familiarity is with this team. But once he knew that there was maybe a possibility that he would be coming here, even if it was like yesterday or the day before, like you can immediately get film and you can start watching and you can start looking at the plays, and that can help a little bit with familiarity. But I have a suspicion that when he's on the floor, they're going to keep things very simple, go to their most basic form of their offense. And a lot of it is read and react. So that's just, hoping that, someone that comes in has a high basketball IQ, which Jae Crowder, I would safe to say falls into that category. He's been in the league a long time and has a lot of experience. But also a lot of this offense is just making sure you keep the court spread. So even if he doesn't exactly know where he's going to be, as long as he keeps the court spread here in the beginning, I think he'll be okay.
All right, last thing for you. You've known him pretty well over the last couple of years, Mike Brown. I think it was right in front of you last game, or maybe it's 2 games ago now. All these blend together. Boy, that was as livid as I've ever seen him. You had probably a decent seat of that one. What'd that look like? Yeah,
that was this last game against OKC. Yeah. I saw it in Toronto last year as well. It's like it's intense.
Yeah.
But to me, it was intentional.
Yeah.
It was less about it being a real emotion, if that makes sense, like a reactionary emotion. It wasn't a reactionary emotion. It was an intentional emotion, I guess is the best way to put it. He was trying to make a point. And I personally thought that game got out of hand and that the officials let it get out of hand, and that you want them to let you play and you want there to be a level of physicality, but you don't want it to get to the place where you can't control the game and people can get hurt. And so that to me was an intentional kind of reaction so that he could get the emotion across that he wanted to. Did it very well. I think the officials also know that, recognize and understand it, and don't take it personally. And also I think that it was very much something that he was trying to use to fire up his team. So I thought it was called for, and I love seeing that side of Mike Brown because it's not something you see often. And I think that it serves multiple purposes.
Yeah, he got that point across. They were down 19, started to make a bit of a comeback, obviously. But, yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. That's for sure, against Minnesota. Katie, have a good Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we look forward to seeing you this weekend and next week.
All right, J. Ross, take care.
All right, thank you. That is Kayte Christensen joining us, as, of course, you can watch Katie tonight on the call, and then we'll see her back in the building on Sunday for the Kings and the Spurs. But break time for us. When we come back, we've got some games in the NFL tomorrow.